These aren't the stories your mother told you. No, these are the other stories.
Today's episode of The Other Stories is Glitch, written by Sarah Jane Justice and narrated by Erica Ventura.
It's a constant battle that changes daily. Ash adjusted her camera feed. With only the slightest movement and the click of a few buttons, she demonstrated how easy it was to change her entire appearance. AI keeps improving in the hands of those with less than noble intentions. Security breaches become easier, not to mention propaganda. Any kind of deception you can imagine is on the rise and will continue to increase. Romance scammers, revenge plots, garden variety misinformation. Here at Detect, we're constantly finding new ways to help the public see through it, to raise the bar on our end. But then the bar goes up on the other end as well. We develop accessible ways to detect the scam. They change the foundation of the scam. The war goes on. I see. The journalist frowned. So what advice would you give the average person? With deception technology being so widespread, how can we protect ourselves? Well, my official answer as Detect CEO is funding. Get behind our products. Use them. Campaign for them. Keep tabs on what we're creating. Ash paused to wipe her brow. But I also want to share my personal answer, as an individual who got into this fight because it matters. She paused for effect, looking directly into the lens to address the viewers. What I want is for people to stay skeptical, always be on alert. Remember that wherever your eyes are turned, whatever you're seeing, it might not be real. That's an alarming way to put it. It's the truth, and it is alarming. Acknowledging that is the only way to make people take this seriously. Ash saw the journalist's eyes widen, and she knew she'd given him the next big vox pop. Do you want to know the biggest problem we face in protecting people from deception tech? Do tell. Too often, people aren't actually interested in the truth. Ash tapped a button to change her background in one fluid motion. They think they are, but hand them a lie they want to believe, and they'll take it without question. That's the core of the battle. We're fighting against the technology, but there's a reason the other side keeps getting ahead of us. They're playing on our base human desires. They're showing people what they want to see, backing up their prejudices, stoking their egos, making promises that aren't at all possible when you stop to examine them. All the detection efforts in the world won't work if people aren't willing to separate themselves from their resistance to uncomfortable truths. The journalist nodded, tapping on his desk with a stern expression. Well, thanks again for dialing in to speak with us. Ash Cavanaugh from Detect, an enterprise dedicated to the fight against... Ash waved into the camera and flicked off her screen without waiting for the end of her outro. She pushed her chair towards her second desk, the one covered with paper, letters, and handwritten notes. Like most people working on the front lines against hackers and invasive technologies, she found it safer to write by hand, an ironic relic of a past that felt more distant than it actually was. She knew she wasn't alone in this preference because the extortion letters all came in print. They had rattled her at first, but she had grown to see them as part of the job. Idle threats from petty criminals, the evolution of chain email scammers, the same idiots with better tools. She'd received so many at this point that she'd stopped opening them. It wasn't a secret that Detect had a direct contact line to the Cybercrime Bureau. Everyone knew the severity of the punishment attached to the kinds of actions described in the letters. Taking that into account, Ash was confident they were empty words. Fear was all they were aiming for. Fear was the bread and butter of deception tech, after all. She slid the latest of the letters into a plastic sleeve without opening it, flinching as the connection sent a static shock up her arm out of nowhere. She considered that she hadn't felt that kind of static electricity in a long time. She rolled her eyes at the strange and unexpected nostalgia she felt for an obsolete form of pain. She ran a hand over the plastic to make sure it was sealed, shivering as the same sensation hit her again. Ash woke up with sharp pain coursing through her body and forced her eyes to open. Despite the dizziness and blurred vision, she could see that she was still in her office. Her computers were humming, providing some small amount of light. Her memory was cut in hazy pieces, and she wondered if she passed out from overworking. In slow, painful movements, she tried to sit up. The overhead light flashed on, dimming slightly before settling into its usual orange-hued brightness. Ash flinched, struggling to lift a hand to cover her still sensitive eyes. She managed to lean to one side and screamed when her vision finally cleared. Her right hand was bulbous and misshapen, with what appeared to be extra fingers sticking out at odd angles. Breathing heavily, she managed to wiggle each one well enough to confirm that they did indeed belong to her. The skin around them cracked before her eyes, sending red marks in lines down her wrist. They looked like the path of veins, where no veins could logically exist. She pulled herself up, scrambling on stubby fingers that moved almost independently of her muscles. Her breath rushed out of her in a wheezing gasp when she saw writing splashed in red on the back of her office door. "You were warned." Ignoring the pain that ripped through her every movement, Ash stumbled over to the door and tried to open it. "No, no, no, no," she muttered to herself when she discovered that the lock had been broken off the door. The door itself was now sealed, set in place with what looked like concrete. She banged her misshapen fist on the door, snapping a small jutted finger in the process. The door didn't budge.
"Help!
She wailed.
Anyone, please!"
The sound bounced back into the room, echoing like the taunting of a mimic. Her decision to build the office at basement level had been a no-brainer at the time. Windows posed a security risk, both the operating system and the open view to the outside world. The simplest way to stay unseen was to remove the risk entirely and remain underground. It had been a smart decision, but now Ash needed the outside world to hear her. She stumbled towards her computer, grabbing the keyboard with the hand that wasn't deformed. The login screen flashed in her face, and she managed to fumble through her credentials before a massive burst of pain shot through her left arm. Her screams reverberated around the now sealed room as she recoiled and fell into her desk chair. She held her arm up in front of her to see her skin break and burst. One by one, additional fingers broke out like parasites. Bloody and malformed, they shot out of her wrist and arm at bizarre angles, growing on top of each other in several places. Ash sobbed, craning her neck towards the ceiling in an attempt to avoid seeing the monstrosity that her own body was becoming. Her eyes landed on another message, splashed on the roof in the same shade of red as the one on the back of the door. "We write the truth." Struggling to pull herself together, Ash turned back to the computer screen. Her fingers smashed gibberish onto the keyboard, rendering her incapable of sending any kind of request for help. Her heart leapt when she realized her broadcast channel was logged in. Without hesitation, she aimed a stubby finger at the touchscreen and managed to hit the button to go live. Her reflection in the camera view made her gag as she held up what had become of her hands. The skin continued to split in random places, as if threatening to spread into another digit. Red lines cracked the surface around her arms.
"Help me!"
She yelled towards the microphone. It shrieked into a feedback loop, distorting the sound of her voice.
"I'm trapped! Please!"
She could see the viewer count rising by the second. One after the other, messages began popping up in the chat. What the hell is this? Publicity stunt? Can anyone make out what she's saying? This is so obviously fake. I can't believe any of you are falling for it.
No, you need to help me!
Ash could see her mouth moving in the camera view, but even in her own ears, it was drowned out by screeching microphone feedback. She held her hands over the keyboard, trying to figure out if there was some way she could type. The chat rolled on in front of her as the viewer count continued to go up. Fake. Guys, this is a detect stream. They're trying to make a point. Not even a good fake. Look at her tattoo. As more comments began referencing the tattoo, Ash stopped in place, almost too scared to see what they were talking about. Her tattoo was a signature feature, the word truth, written on her left bicep. It was proudly displayed by Flex in so many promotional images that it was rare to find an article about her that left it out. A sudden burst of pain forced her to look at it. The ink making up the letters had split and was now spreading in sharp, glitchy movements. Each one caused a deep, wrenching burn, visibly scarring the muscle tissue on which it moved. Even with her vision blurring from agony, Ash could see that the text on her arm had transformed into indecipherable gibberish that barely resembled letters. See, it's not even good AI. This is the old style that can't even do a human hand. What is the point of this stream? Not even the fakest deception tech looks this fake anymore.
No, please! You have to help me! I need someone to help me!
Ash screamed towards the monitor. The audio doesn't even work. 0 effort. Very disappointing. Ash started pushing things around on her desk, desperately grabbing for anything that could possibly help her. Stumbling over to her second desk, she could see that her piles of notebooks and letters had been replaced. She flung around stacks of light red paper, each one bearing the same phrase. We write the truth. In a fit of desperation, Ash tried to grab the papers. She knew this must be the mantra of a specific group, and if there was anyone watching who recognized it, she might still have a chance to get her message across. Her new fingers moved in strange directions that made any functional movement impossible. Focusing as hard as she could, she trapped one slip of paper under her hand and began shifting it across the desk towards the camera's view. She had barely moved it a few inches when a new pointed nub of flesh shot out from the middle of her fist, splashing the paper with blood and shooting it to the floor. Ash screamed, overcome by pain and helplessness. Honestly, not appropriate. I don't know what game Detect is playing, but I'm unfollowing. Definitely a game. A stupid game. You know how the rest of the saying goes. Win stupid prizes. Respect lost. Sorry, not sorry. I don't know what's going on, but I feel played. Ash hobbled back towards the live stream, but fell to the floor when her hands were unable to grab the ledge of the desk. Her eyes were quickly losing focus, but as she rolled onto her back, she saw another message splashed across the far wall of the office. Every war has its casualties. The victors have always written their histories. Now, we write the present as well. We write the truth. Ash could hear the live stream still buzzing as her vision faded to black.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode of The Other Stories. Glitch was written by Sarah Jane Justice, narrated by Erica Ventura, produced by Georgia Triantafyllopoulou, with music by Free Music Archive and Tom Robson. The episode illustration was provided by Matt Seth Barnes. Joshua Boucher is our story programmer, Jasmine Arch manages our community, Mary Pastrano helps orchestrate the chaos, and the show would collapse into static and screams about the ongoing work of Karl Hughes, Georgia Triantafyllopoulou, and James Barnett, aka Jimmy Horrors. For more of Sarah Jane Justice's work, you can follow her on Facebook at facebook.com/Sarah Jane Justice Writing. Erica Ventura is an artist, mother, bilingual narrator, and a painting instructor. How does she manage it all? No idea. But her artwork can be seen on Instagram at @EFVENTU, or you can visit her artist page at facebook.com/bioartsy. The Other Stories is a production of the Story Studio Hawk and Cleaver and is brought to you with a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial No Derivatives license. That means don't change it, don't sell it, but by all means share the hell out of it. Until next time.